Well, hello there, and welcome back to the channel. I'm David Steele, and you're looking at my truck and trailer combination, and today we are taking a haul truck chassis, or chassis, as I think the Americans say. And this is, I believe, the heaviest cargo in the game and the DLCs. It's 188,000 pounds worth of lunchbox carrier. I don't know how else to describe it. And this is a special transport mission, so the game's given me some ground rules. Is basically saying don't crash into your escort vehicles and follow their instructions. Now, most of this makes sense. I mean, don't speed. Well, you shouldn't speed anyway in the game. That's all fair enough. So, when you need to change lanes, there's a very definite process. And that essentially is, well, it shows you on the screen there. It's the bottom sort of row, but the vehicle behind you merges lane first, and then the escort vehicle in front of you merges lane, and then finally you can merge lane as well. So that doesn't sound too bad, right? Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. Well, I'm going to do things a little differently in this particular drive. First things first, I'm going to turn on my little dashboard. I've got a 7-inch display that sits below my main monitor that I use with ADA64 that shows what's going on in my machine. I'm just going to turn that on and activate that. The reason being is that I'm running a version of 1.54. I do not yet have the download to run the version 1.55 beta, which has asynchronous loading that can or has, it looks like it makes a massive difference to how smooth the game performs. Basically, it multi-threads loading assets, and by assets, objects in the game, it will load them on a different thread to the main game thread. Now, my machine is fairly heavily single thread limited in this game. I'm running an Intel Core i7 10700K with a modest overclock, and that's just not enough for what the game really needs. So I get a bit of stutter and a bit of hesitation. Now what we've got at the bottom right there of the dashboard, we've got my current frame rate, showing 87 frames per second, and there's nothing going on the screen. We also have the GPU, how that thing's working. So it's clocked at around about 2 gigahertz, 39% load. That's it's a little bit of a busy dashboard, but I can tell what it's doing. So underneath the green temperature, 58 degrees Celsius, on the left is the graphics card workload, and to the right is the video workload. And that might be the NVIDIA encoder doing its thing. Okay. That introduction out of the way, let's jump back into here. Let's take a look at the rig. I'm going to go ahead and get the beacons on, like so. Now, under the hood of the Mack R today, we have a Mack V8. Now, this is actually an EA9. The A is reputed to stand for Australian. This is 610 horsepower version of the E9, and it's electronically controlled. So it's cleaner and more efficient than the mechanically controlled E9s in the engine pack. This engine may or may not make it into the Steel Productions engine pack. I'm not sure right now. It's an R700 Mack R, so it's the extended hood design. Whether you really would put this engine in this truck, I don't know. I mean, you've got the Superliner if you wanted that sort of thing, I suppose. But it works for me. Well, the last thing I suppose I would say is couple of exhausts rather than the usual one, a couple of air filters as opposed to the usual one, and a heavy bumper up front. So without further ado, we should probably make a move. Now this is a tuning or a checking how well this engine works trip, and so what that means is that I'm going to be using automated for the most part. I'm not going to be sequentially shifting my own gears, so I want to make sure that this engine shift point works with such a heavy load. In fact, let's check one thing. Let's go into here, go to options, I guess interface. I'm going to make sure that my adaptive transmission's turned on, which is gameplay then. It is. Okay. So, adaptive automatic transmission is set to be normal power. You've got disabled, high power mode, normal power, and economy mode. I do have a keyboard shortcut set up for that. I never remember what it is. I suppose we could check here. Oh wow, lots of some keyboard shortcuts. Do we have? Can I easily find it? Okay, so oh yeah, hold the backslash. All right. Well, I don't think I'll be changing that, but I do have the options. So basically off, high power, normal, and economy mode. Right, let's get back to it. I'm going to leave it in automated mode right now. We are in gear. So let's make like a tree and get out of here. That's the plan. So I'm going to try not to glance at my dashboard, but my frame rate's at 58 right now. And that's should be a smooth experience. I don't anticipate a massive difference with 1.55 in terms of absolute frame rate, but I think it's supposed to be smoother. And what I noticed with the game is, especially if you're going at high speed, not going to be so much of an issue today. It's a little bit janky. Let's go ahead and just get a look out the window here. Okay, it's a pretty long trailer, this. I don't know the legalities of running a trip like this at night. I suppose the escorts help. As far as engine under the hood, yeah, it's a 610 rated horsepower. Mack V8. Gonna go ahead and shut those windows. So it's got lots of power. Torque output is 2060 foot-pounds, which is chunky, let's just say. And yeah, that's very helpful. Transmission-wise, we've got a Mach 13 speed here with a 4.5 final drive, and ultimately that means at 55 miles an hour, which is my speed limit, we should be looking at about 1450, 1470 RPM in top gear. And looking at the specific fuel consumption information for certainly the mechanically injected E9s, 1500 RPM is about the sweet spot. And so I've chosen the gearing based on essentially being able to keep the engine at the sweet spot when we're cruising. But I do have to say, this is a pretty heavy cargo, and it turns out it's quite wide as well. We might have run into something, but I think it's fine. The cargo's fine. This is the building. Okay. Yeah, let's yeah, she's pretty big. Okay, well, I reckon we're all good, so let's go ahead and get on with it, shall we? I may be taking out both lanes for most of it, most of the drive. Also, frame rate, you know, just for what it's worth, we're hovering just under 60 in the cabin, and that jumps up to, well, it was just under 80 outside of the cabin. Let's go ahead and flick to that view again. We were looking at 73, 80. Yeah, it's not bad. It should be nice and smooth. So YouTube will be. Well, I'm recording this at 30 frames per second, and so I dare say it won't likely look that much different from your perspective. But we'll see. Well, that's got the power all the way down, and that's good. That it's doing what I want it to do, and I really would like it to shift up if it thinks it can. I might just lift up a little bit, and then let's just give it a shift hint up. Yep, shifted up one, and then dropped another one. It went up a second gear because I guess the road flattened out. Oh, there we go. So if I was manually shifting this, I would possibly have not done the second shift so quick. But then as we crest the hill and I'm lifting off progressively more and more, it shifted up again. And that's about what you expect from an automatic. Now, the biggest thing with this cargo then is likely not the acceleration, the hill climbing. It's the managing speed when you decelerate and come to an intersection or a junction. So really want to avoid stopping it if I can, because then that's 19 gear changes just to and from 15 miles an hour, give or take. Clear on the left? Yeah, clear on the left, okay. Looks like I'm driving more with the mirrors. Oh, this is a tight turn. Okay. We will go extra wide here, I think. Right. Lowers right. The service brake, then turn hard right. The truck's giving me lots of space, but I'm going to need it for the width of this thing. That seems about centered. Tight on the right, plenty on the left. Okay. Well, actually not necessarily plenty. We have enough. Alright. Okay, well now we can do 55, because we have to get up to 55 and negotiate this this surprisingly tight little on-ramp. This gearbox engine combination's making light work of this, but then again it's got so much torque that I wouldn't expect it to be struggling with it. £188,000 plus the trailer. That's a lot of cargo behind me. Right, let's punch it full throttle. There goes the downshift. Yeah, so see, here we are. We're actually dropping below 1500 revs. I'm going to hint shift down. Okay, I want to try and keep it rolling up this hill. I don't really want to let the revs drop too much, but I also should test the shift point, so let's just leave it and see if it, when it downshifts. If it downshifts. P-torque is produced at 1300 RPM, and it did not need to downshift, it's pulling itself up the hill. Okay. I mean, it is an engine very much built for those land trains that the Aussies love, and for, I suppose, in the UK or US even, for heavy hauls. Getting a little bit of stutter from how the game feels. My frame rate's still reasonable, so giving it full power again because of this gradient, and I'm not going to downshift. I really want to shift down, but not going to. Let it figure itself out. And that's another gear down. Go. That wasn't me doing it, by the way. Let hold third. No. Oh, yes, it will. Look at that. Getting a little steeper here, so we might shift down again. But as the revs rise, so the torque rises, and then the power starts to kick in as the revs rise. Yay. So this engine's a little thirsty. I mean, it's a 16.4 litre with a shed load of torque and therefore a bunch of power, 610 horsepower, and it's producing 600 horsepower across a good chunk of the rev range. It's a very commendable heavy haul engine, but the payback is fuel consumption. So right now at full power, doing just under 20 miles an hour, we're getting 1.2 miles per gallon. That will it'll be a little higher throughout the whole trip, but I'm not expecting to see much more than 2.5 miles per gallon from this kind of road trip. And how many miles have we got left? 190. So we're going to use about another 100 gallons. Now let's just look at my trip computer. Got 236 gallons remaining. I'm going to say we're going to end this trip with about 140 gallons. I might forget to check that, but we'll if I don't forget, we'll check it out. Because yeah, this is a. I mean, it's just a big engine with lots of power and a really heavy cargo. So efficiency in terms of miles per gallon is not going to be there. I'm going to use my engine brake preemptively now, because like I say, it's easy to get in a bit of a runaway situation where you've got to use the service brakes and then you skid, and it's kind of easy to crash. To reduce my engine brake a stage 2, stage 1. Okay, I mean that's fair enough. Stage 2 at 40, to stage 3 again. Okay, see how it's starting to run away. If I downshift, I'm going to increase speed. So let's go ahead and try it. Yeah, it's it held its speed, but it's kind of noisy. Right, let's get back on the power. There we go, and it's gonna shift up, upshift. It's gonna shift up again because it's all good with that. So let's get back the cruise back up to 50. When you use cruise control in American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2, it removes most of the adaptive shift technology that your engine designer has programmed into the game, and it will try and use the lowest revs possible unless you're going up a pretty steep gradient, or you're using the engine brake, and it will let you downshift to let you use a few more revs to help keep the speed under control. But a lot of the subtle differences that you have using manual throttle control, you lose them. Let's turn off my engine brake now. It reckons 40 miles an hour because of an adverse camber. I'm actually going to reduce the speed a little bit more. See how, and we merge. So I think we're good here. Yeah, it is not holding on to 36 in this gear engine brake combination. But I've got no more engine brake, so any way I can increase my engine brake is to increase my revs, which means shifting down. And for the time that you're not in gear, what happens is you can pick up speed. I need to slow down. Okay, go ahead and change lane. Okay, I'm going to get squeezed back on the power. Let's gently break this thing back up to 55. Squeeze a little bit harder. Going up a bit of a hill now. It's a hill that doesn't seem like a hill if you've not got such a heavy cargo. Alright, so I squeezed in enough to get it to downshift. And we're not using cruise, so it's just going to shift down, and I'm just punched up to full power now. I would say for what it's worth, but yeah, holding on to my speed, but that's 1.3 miles per gallon at 30 miles an hour. And we're losing speed, so go back to my my speed showing on my trip computers. So 24 miles an hour, 23. I don't think we're going to need to shift down for the gradient. We are letting it lug, or it's letting itself lug down, but that's a bit of a Mack thing, I think. Right, I'm going to get back on my cruise. See, straight away it wanted to shift up because I was using cruise control. Now I also crested the hill a few seconds later, and I'm actually going to tap my cruise to 50 because I've got to change lane. In fact, let's kill my cruise control. Okay, I need to this Dodge Charger's in the way here. The service brake there. Come on, Escort. You can do it. Please don't make me stop. So what's happening is that the AI vehicles are getting in the way, and so the police vehicle's slowing right down. You can see in the mirror that the Escort pickup truck is already in lane 2. There we go. And that's it's a thing that I'm pretty sure happens in real life because people are idiots. Okay, back on resume, back up to 55. I'm going to take a sip of my drink because I can hear my voice is getting tired already. That's the ice that you hear. Summer has officially arrived in Texas. The temperature is going to be in the mid-90s today, so we actually have a bit further to go in terms of heat. I've seen it 113, and that was a little uncomfortable. Yeah, it's showing it's 92 right now. It's going to get a little hotter in the coming few days, but only by a few degrees. And whilst I'm yabbering away, of course, the engine's just happily taking me back up to cruise. So we're now in top at 50. I think we snuck into top at 49 there, and stick up my revs 1400. Yeah, so it's about where the sweet spot's going to be. And given how heavy this cargo is, I really have to hand it to the EA9. Let's see, it's going to lift off at 55 and maintain that speed. Let's just check my temperatures. So 208 on the oil, 181 on the water, and I know I talk about this quite a bit now, but oil temperature, engine oil temperature, has been made a lot more sensitive in the game, and it's proportional to the amount of power that your engine's producing versus the amount of power that it can produce. That was a big lag spike, and that's what I'm hoping the new update to 155 helps. I think SES wording is mitigate. And then looking at my frame rate, I'm 66, 68 right now, but you can see how it's oscillating depending on what's happening around in the game. Now that ADA dashboard, I think it updates. It might be every second, it might be every 2 seconds now. It's not particularly frequently. Kill my power, I think. Coming out to another. I'm going to exit the interstate here. And I could show the frame rate on the main game menu with Reba stats, but I'm not going to do that. This shows everything else, and I don't need to see each individual core temperature, as fascinating as that is. And I haven't installed Afterburner. I have an EVGA graphics card, rest in peace to EVGA GPUs, so I don't particularly feel the need to run Afterburner or Afterburner at the same time. And I mean, we really are handling this weight aplomb. It makes me want to try this trip with a 237 horsepower Mack, with the Mack engine, not with something else. Although I do have other engines that could use for it. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely a heavy cargo behind you, but it's pulling this thing just fantastically. Giving it full power now, and our acceleration is modest, but we are accelerating. Okay, quick check on how far we've gone. So we've got 100 miles left, and so I reckon we'll have 140 gallons of fuel left. Let's see where we're at right now. 208 gallons remaining. Good grief, we're probably not going to use 60 gallons or 70 gallons in 100 miles. I mean, a good friend of mine probably could, Tim Camp, but and it is with the greatest of reverence and respect that I say that. Could possibly do that in his passenger car, and with Imperial gallons, not these tiny little US gallons. But here we are at full power, and good grief, this thing is drinking diesel like I drink coffee. But I gotta get up to 55, right? Let's go back to my speed and let's hit resume. Let's let autopilot. Let's let cruise control get me back up to 55. Yeah, and it's selected top gear at 49, and because it's able to, it has enough torque to be able to pull itself along at that speed. And now we're overhauling the cop car as it reaches 55, and in fact we're actually speeding. Good grief. Right, I've just encouraged it to downshift. I'm getting a little too close. Why is this cop slowing down? I'm gonna kill my speed a little bit more. I guess he doesn't want me to do 55. Let's just hit 47. That's fine. I mean, I do feel like we could be going so much quicker, but if he or she doesn't want me to do 55, then okay. I don't know why my speed limit would be 55. It's a quiet run right now. Frame rate's doing fantastic things. 100. Did I say 119 there for just a few seconds? That's fabulous. I so rarely see my game running as well as this, and I don't have the optimizations. But one thing I did And this is thanks to a Jay's 2 cents video, and if I remember, I'll link it down below. I checked the rebar settings on my graphics card. I've got an RTX 3080 or 3080 Ti, I suppose technically. You know, the one graphic card had never made any sense because it was far too expensive for the performance. But let's put that all to one side right now and go back to rebar settings. I got distracted, don't you know? The rebar. So, of course, rebar is a technology that helps your GPU keep its frame buffer, and if it's not rebar resize or resizable bar, I forget how it's explained, is a means of really helping your GPU make the most out of its GPU memory. And if it's disabled, your graphics card will use main system memory, and that's a ton slower than the RAM on your card, on the video RAM buffer. So I enabled it, and maybe that's why my game's running smoother. I don't know. What I do know is, yeah, it's definitely running smoother and running better. 80 frames a second. Maybe buildings just kill frame rate. Well, they do, but is it really as dramatic as I thought it was? I'm actually going to kill cruise control right now because, yeah, we've got to slow right down. Bit of service brake here. Let's get my speed down to below 35. And the frame rate's tanked. It's in the 50s. Buildings. That may be why parts of Alaska run so wonderfully on my installation, because some parts of Alaska are very remote. There's nothing going on. There's no buildings for miles. Feathering the throttle here. I don't need to because there's nothing there that I'm going to run into, so it's all good. Alright. You know what, to be fair, 50 frames per second is not terrible. There's been a long period of my... Oops. I think that was a lamppost. Yeah, it was. Oopsie. I'm sure they're not vintage, they just look it. Anyway, yeah, there's been a long period of my ATS career where I locked the frame rate at 60, and then something happened and the game would not run at 60. It would jank and jerk and just be horrible, and so I locked it to 30. And I've used lossless scaling from time to time, and it's helped immeasurably. Right now, though, lossless scaling is not in use, and my frame rate is floating up to 144, which is what my monitor will eventually get to. But 65 as the fewer buildings, that's 69. That's really encouraging. I'm excited for the 1.55 beta, but I don't really want to run it right now because... Oh, what? No, junction's this. Because I'm trying to complete a Steam accomplishment. That's why so many special transports. So I've got a few I've got to run yet. Why are we... Oh, I know why. Oh boy. Yeah, so this is the one where you got to cross the bridge, get off the interstate, and then take some weird and wonderful way to get to your destination. Thought I'd done this special transport, but either way. You give it 4 beans to climb the bridge. My frame rate is fantastic right now. Anyway, give it 4 beans to climb the bridge. Pretty epic view down there. So can we switch to this view? Yes, we can. I'm actually going to kill the power because I suspect we're going to start going down a hill. God, we're getting close to stuff. This feels a little dangerous. I can afford to give traffic just a little more room. Right, let's jump back in the cabin. So it looks like we turn right off here, and then we go back on ourselves to come back on ourselves again, and I don't... Okay, I'm just gonna be like, fine. I'm sure there's a reason why the game makes me do this very convoluted way of ending this trip, but okay. Right, so we'll... yeah, it does. It wants me to come back on myself, and I really don't know why it does this, but okay. I've gotten stuck doing a run like this before as well. I'm sure I've gotten very stuck. Thankfully I have the console turned on, so if I need to, I can relocate my truck's position. Is it cheating? Yeah, kind of, but if the game gets me in a situation where I can't get out of it, I don't think it's cheating, especially if I'm following direction and I got stuck. Speeding there, so it's like we gotta turn right. Well, I think the depot is dead ahead. Okay, so it's saying turn right, but I don't think it means it. I'm gonna follow the police way, and hopefully it doesn't kick me out again. Okay. It was the right choice to go this way. The question is, can I go anywhere? So I gotta go dead ahead. This is one of those things where I don't think the game will let me go any further because there's traffic in the way. So let's drop to console and let's just remove AI traffic. Like so. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I don't think it's cheating. I think it's merely the game's not really playing fair on me in this regard. So that traffic was, I mean, where was it going to go? It had nowhere to go. This jump in a pickup truck's blocking that access, so they don't want to go that way. And there would be a very long video of nothing happening. So we will hide AI traffic. I will suppose. I mean, how hard can it be to just put it back whilst I'm moving? There we go. It's back. So yeah, it does feel a little bit like a wheeze doing that. And so perhaps as punishment, what I should do is try a similar trip even, but with a Mack with a 237 horsepower engine. Thanks for the escort, appreciate it. Well, I got to compliment the game on how well it's run. I'm seeing frame rates way higher than I used to. I wonder if the rebar issue was what's helped, and so I can't explain it anywhere near as well as Jason from Jay's 2 Cents. But ultimately, even though you enabled it in BIOS and it's enabled in the NVIDIA driver, it's not enabled if you look at the NVIDIA inspector. And so you drop in there and just enable it, and it seems to have made a difference. Okay, a little bit rough at the end, but there we go. So let's see how well we did. Now that was a trip from Portland to Newport. So make a note that I completed that run. Great, so I made a note there. So we covered 195 miles. Oh, I didn't use as much fuel as I thought. I didn't look, and I meant to, but oh well. But we used 72 gallons, so that's less than 3 miles per gallon. But it's more than 2.5. It's more like 2 3/4. So my mileage was not as terrible as I thought it was. It's just like, yeah, I got 2.75 miles per gallon. Yeah. Right, well, there you have it. That's going to call it for today's trip, I think. I'm very happy with that run. This engine just is a bit of a bomb. Well, a bomb in this context means good. It's turn off that parking brake, shall we? It's punchy. Let's go ahead and exit. Right, well, I hope you got something from that. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you the next time. Thanks so much, everyone. Goodbye.